Guild Wars 2 had its first free trial for their recently announced expansion Path of Fire last weekend, and I have to admit, it was a lot of fun to play. Guild Wars 2 was a game I waited for religiously, following its every announcement with anticipation I normally reserve for MMOs starting with Final Fantasy, and I really enjoyed it when it came out. I played it through all the way to level cap, but then soon just sort of drifted away. So expansion or no, why am I bringing it up now? One word: mounts. So hey guys, it's Hunt for Games, and Guild Wars 2, while a great game, lacked for me a reason to keep improving my gear at level cap, and while the story was interesting, it wasn't enough to keep me playing along. Plus, while doing away with the Holy Trinity made for an interesting change of pace, it also seemed to remove any player accountability or focus. With everyone doing whatever they pleased, it was hard to feel accomplished about anything beyond just surviving a fight. Without that, I mean, wow, like our tank was an amazing moment, or I can't believe I healed through that. It just kind of like lost its interest. Everyone just was sort of mushing around doing their own thing, and that was fine, but then we drift off and nobody really cared. That was all just a little background to explain this next bit. While I enjoyed Guild Wars 2 a lot, I haven't played it seriously in a while. Path of Fire is the second expansion, the first having been one I didn't get into that much, Heart of Thorns. Masteries were the deal the last time, changing how you could traverse the terrain, giving a reason for players to work their way through the new zones and engage in new content. Mounts are the name of the game this time around though, and honestly, they seem pretty cool. So to be fair, when they announced the expansion, I kind of didn't care, and they said mounts, and I was like, every MMO ever has had mounts. Welcome to the game. Like, it doesn't matter, I'm not buying this. And I'm still not entirely sure that I'm interested, but man, having played this, the mounts do look kind of cool. So how many times have you seen mountains a game? Why should they be interesting? Because someone finally cared about animations. That's why. During the demo, we got to ride around on a Raptor, which, first of all, like, lifelong dream right there. Why have we not been able to do this in more games? And it was badass. The tail swished believably as we sprinted over the sands. When I turned right or left, the Raptor would lean into the turn with the tail like counterbalancing, just as you'd expect it to in real life. Sprinting around the sands, I literally was just like hopping over dunes, turning around, running back the other way, just to see how the Raptor would react. Never before have I seen a mount make movement so unbelievably cool. I could just watch it moving all day. While I love Final Fantasy, the chocobos of 14 and 11 are kind of stiff and weird, and it's always bothered me a little bit. 11 was honestly a little bit better even, and 14 had no excuse because it came out years later, but most MMOs I've played have been like that though. When you turn the whole mount turns all at once like some crazy spinning top. I mean, do you remember like the white tigers in World of Warcraft? The head and tail were just 180. It was literally like it was on like a plate that you spun on the ground, and its tail was always in the back of that plate and the head was in the front, and you just changed the direction. I don't know how else to say it. It was just like the head and body didn't move independently. And obviously World of Warcraft's an older game and that's to be expected, but most games, I guess, saw that and were like, I don't think we ever have to do better. We never have to worry about it. Nobody's really done an amazing job, and correct me if I'm wrong, because if there's a game out there that I haven't seen with some amazingly cool looking mounts, with just movement wise, I'd love to check it out. Because this is way more important than I think most people and developers realize. If you spend as much time on your mounts as I do in MMOs, having that be an immersive experience is crucial to be overall just immersed in that game. As I'm running through forests or mountain passes on a horseback, if that galloping looks like legs just spinning in the air, not in any way related to the speed that I'm moving or the direction I'm facing, I'm not going to be as swept up in the majesty of the zone and the world that I'm in. And it's obviously all the more important for Guild Wars 2, who's spending so much attention to mounts as one of the core deliveries of the $30 expansion this time around. I still don't know as much as I'd like to about how the mounts are supposed to work, but each type of mount provides different benefits that encourage and allow various types of movement through the zones. The Raptor can jump long distances, a manta ray can skim over the water. I think there's a bunny that can like climb up short hills that you wouldn't be able to go up to. I'm not really sure. But it works. Like, as I was running around this zone as a Raptor, there's so much verticality with these deep canyons and these long gaps in between broken down bridges and stuff. And on the Raptor, you can sprint up to and jump and like just make it, and it feels great. It feels like there's a reason I'd want to be running around on this Raptor versus just my person on Guild Wars 2, where the maps always have been incredible and very interesting to traverse, but at the same time as just the character, there wasn't really much to think about or choose. Like, either you could make it or you couldn't. There wasn't that much going on. But if nothing else, they've certainly gotten my attention by addressing core aspects of games that I feel have been missing. exploration, and the beauty of motion. Final Fantasy XI, which shares practically nothing with Guild Wars 2, spent a careful amount of consideration on enemy movements, and I've always thought about how important that was to me. The movements were always believable and interesting, and enemies would be, they'd start off a little slower before getting up to speed when they started running after you, and then as they got really close, they'd like slow down. Like, it was a kind of believable motion. Yeah, the movements were kind of janky in retrospect, but like that concept of acceleration just isn't in most MMOs. These little details added all that more immersion to that game, which obviously is one of my favorite games of all time. It's one of the reasons it was tough for me to shift to WoW when it came out, and I could never really get into it. With the enemies behaving far more technically than realistically, when you were like attacked, like if something aggroed you, it was immediately chasing after you at full speed, and if it lost interest in you as you're running away, it just was sprinting the other way just as fast. It was like immediately 180 full speed, no physics or motion. And I know physics are tough in an MMO because they've got to keep down that kind of processing power, but they can fake it. There's all sorts of things you can do to fake it. It made everything feel kind of like very robotic, and it was kind of jarring for me when I was running through a zone and there was a guy sprinting at me in 2 seconds and then he was sprinting away at the same speed. I never felt like risk. Nothing ever seemed like it was alive. And in Final Fantasy XI, everything kind of like seemed to move just slightly more realistically. It's those little touches that meant so much to me. So I just wanted to call out this appreciation for the developers' hard work on the new expansion. I'm not sure it'll be any good, so sorry if the developers are watching this and are like, oh, they have such good things to say. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be good yet. We'll have to see. And if the mounts and new areas are interesting enough for $30, I certainly hope so, but obviously I've only seen a small bit, and I don't even know if that alone is going to be enough to get me interested. But after playing the free trial weekend, I had to call out how cool riding around in those Raptors were, and how just well done the animations were for that particular mount. If they've made the other mounts anywhere near as cool, I think they might really have something special here for this kind of old game at this point. But I mean, if anybody still loves Guild War 2, I'm sure they're super thrilled about this this next one coming out. So let me know in the comments what you think if you guys have been playing Guild Wars 2. Obviously, we talk about MMOs a lot on this channel, but haven't brought up Guild Wars 2 all that much. But it was one of my favorites when it first came out. Just kind of didn't hold my interest as much as I'd hoped. Just a daily random thought. Check back for the usual videos that you expect every week, and I'll see you guys all next time. So, peace. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, you should totally think about subscribing. I've got videos coming out twice a week, and if you like this one, there's at least a chance you like some of the others that are very similar to this, so live dangerously. Let me know what you guys thought about the video in the comments, and other videos you'd like to see. And finally, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Huntin for Games to keep up with all the latest stuff. See ya.